location. Know where it is. Get in there now if you're in the areas that I just mentioned. For many, if you have a home, it's going to be the lowest level. Interior room, such as a bathroom. If you have an apartment, definitely your bathroom. You want a room that has no windows whatsoever. If you have an apartment and your bathroom just so happens to have a window, it's still going to be the safest place that you could possibly go to. You want to hop in the tub. Okay, get some pillows and blankets to cover yourself from any potential flying debris. Remember a pair of shoes as well, in case you do have to walk through some of that debris. This is our CBS 46 Weather Lab headed out along Interstate 75, showing some brighter skies in this area right now. Dante Renzulli in that Weather Lab, and you know, we'll toss it out to Dante here. I'm going to quick grab a drink. Dante, have you seen anything in terms of you know, ominous skies, anything on your trek up 75? And are you past the 575 interchange right now?
Well, Jim, yeah, we're on 92 right now. We're headed towards 575, and I can tell you that this really came out of nowhere. We originally didn't even have a sprinkle, and then all of a sudden the rain is starting to come down, and yes, indeed, these clouds are looking ominous. I don't know if it's coming across in the camera angle that you see, but you can certainly see from my perspective that there is a definite delineation between white clouds and very dark clouds. Let me give you a side view here. Maybe you can see it better in the roof cam. Okay, so right there, that is looking out off to the northwest, and I'm actually hearing on the emergency scanner right now, it sounds like they're talking about two storm systems, one in Cobb County and one very close to where we're at, that they're very concerned about. We're going to keep an eye on the situation as well, and if it looks like there's anything crazy happening in this neck of the woods, we'll be sure to break in with it.
Dante Renzulli in the CBS 46 Weather Lab right there. We'll get back to him in just a little bit as he continues to track these storm systems out along 92, as he just mentioned. And we'll show you the two separate storms that Dante mentioned. We did that just a little while ago, but if you are joining us, we are going to hone in on. Note where this one polygon, the red box starts. That was the initial tornado warning up until 4:30, but this is the second one here. So you have two separate entities that we're keeping tabs on that could have a possible rotation. The first of which is headed to Waleska, so we'll zoom in on that one right there. Then we'll come farther south down the road toward Acworth, or areas just off to the east of Acworth that are certainly under the gun right now. Now, this Warren cell, once again, here's Waleska. That's what we're dealing with, headed toward Burris Crossroads and Sharptop, excuse me. And the reason why I say that is because we're going to be looking at this area with the storm system marching off to the north-northeast. And what we deal with in terms of our storm wind, which is the radial velocity, and you're going to hear me say it a million times probably, but this is oh so crucial. Where you see that red, or excuse me, the green shaded area, the wind is blowing toward you. Where you see it red, it's blowing away from you. So this is where we're seeing. Now, I'm sorry, say that again, Nikki. I'm talking to my producer now. Funnel cloud at Bells Ferry Road at 575. So again, this isn't confirmed. There's a 575 right there. So possible funnel cloud right there. Certainly just a couple viewers calling in. Not confirmed for the time being, but obviously something that we're definitely going to keep tabs on. So again, this is a dangerous situation. Just off to the north of Ball Ground, we see some splotches of green within the red, and also right here. So where you get the mixing of the two colors together, not the solid crossing right here. That's just an indicator where the wind is blowing left to right across your television screen. But where you start to see some of the greens marched in there, that's a possible indicator that we are seeing rotating winds, and obviously it's a setup where it's not just one separate entity that we're looking at. It's going to be clusters of 2-3 different storm systems. So from 575 north of Ball Ground off to the southwest of Burris Crossroad, some of the areas that we're going to be watching. Now a little bit farther to the south, where we still have the tornado warning in until 4:30 as well. We're going to look at that other storm system, which is just off to the east of Acworth. And again, here's where you run into that situation. Winds blowing toward you, away from you, then again toward you again. Well, that's not a good setup, because the wind is going toward you, and then away from you. So there's a twist and turn right here just off to the south of Interstate 75. So this is the possible area off to the north of Kennesaw, east of Acworth, northeast of Mars Hill. And yep, that's the corridor that we're definitely looking at, the possible rotating winds. Certainly rotating winds on what our CBS 46 Doppler radar says. The question mark is whether or not there's a funnel cloud, a tornado in this area. Obviously, if you live in the area, you want to batten down the hatches and get into your safe location, as I mentioned before. These storms are rotating off to the north-northeast between 35 and 40 miles an hour. A cross-section of the storm system shows that it is north of Kennesaw right now. And take note that the rain shield itself heads up to about 30,000 feet. And we've seen severe thunderstorms that get, twice that. These are compact. Doesn't take away their intensity at all. But I tell you what, they're moving at a pretty good speed here, as I mentioned. And I do want to quickly point out that the CBS 46 News at 4 o'clock is also underway. We're in our storm mode center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jim Kosick. We'll get back to the news in just a little bit. But right up until the bottom of the hour, if you're just joining us, we have 2 separate tornado warnings. We'll hone in on the areas right here, kind of expand out to show you the cones that are in play here until 40. It's going to be Cherokee and Pickens. This was the initial warning that came out for areas just off to the east-northeast of Lake Allatoona, and then this one for Cobb County, extending farther to the north. That's going to include parts of Bartow County as well. That also in effect until 4:30. So it's going to the eastern flank of, if we could pop that back up there, the eastern flank of Bartow County, northwestern Cobb County, but certainly away from Marietta. So you folks in and around Marietta don't have anything to worry about for the time being. We'll certainly pick up additional showers and thunderstorms as we go through the remainder of this afternoon and this evening before everything slides off to the north. But now we've shifted away. What we've been touting all week long, we're shifting away from the tropical rains that were associated with Cindy. This is still Cindy in play, mind you, but there was a tropical warm front down along the Gulf Coast that has lifted northbound. If you've been outside today, the humidity's been bumped up compared to the last couple of days. And it's no longer that widespread rain, but now we're into those hit-miss thunderstorms with the higher humidity and the twisting and the turning of the wind with height. Now we talk about severe thunderstorms that could potentially spawn tornadoes. And that's exactly the problem here. Again, I don't think it's a concern around Ackworth, as this storm system is running off to the east of Ackworth, north of Kennesaw, crossing Interstate 75 well off to the northwest of Marietta and the South Cobb Parkway, but that's going to cross the border, okay, on in through Cherokee County. So this thunderstorm cell here, running toward the northeast, north-northeast, 35 to 40 miles per hour. And it's not the only cluster out there. If we could expand the picture, show you everything that's going on. These are very compact, small, intense thunderstorms, but there's more action out across Alabama. And yeah, there is a tornado warning in Alabama as well. So, hey, we're not out of the woods just yet. Now that that warm front has bypassed metro Atlanta to the north and east, you're into a different weather regime. You may say, it's been humid all week long. Sure, that's the case. But the last couple of days we were mired in the 70s with the rain and the cloud cover. Now the sun has poked itself out. Temperatures are entrenched into the 80s. The humidity is up a notch. And it's just like adding fuel to a fire. How you get a pot of water to boil on the stove, you don't leave it on low. You turn the heat all the way up if you want it to boil fast and furious. That's exactly what's happening. Latest look at from Marietta Town Square off to the northwest. There's Kennesaw Mountain right there. The visibility here still looking mighty, mighty fine. Some darker clouds on the northwestern horizon. Here's Ackworth in Frey Elementary School, and you can see that a little bit of a time lapse there, and the gusty winds. If we could play that again, that was a pretty good shot right there. This is the Frey Elementary School. Some of the gusty winds coming on through, and the raindrops coming down on the camera lens right there. It takes a little while for it to reset, but we'll get back to that in just a little bit. Tell you about the tornado warning once again up until the bottom of the hour, another 24 minutes. As I mentioned, you want to know where your safe place is. You don't mess around in this type of a scenario. You should already know where your safe place is. And if you're not there, east of Waleska, west of Ball Ground, you know what? You want to get there right now. You turn the TV up as loud as it can go so you can hear my voice, and you get into that lowest room, lowest level of your house. If it's an apartment, into your room, such as a bathroom. But even if you're in a home, it most likely is going to be your bathroom. For some, it's going to be underneath the stairwell, a closet, a room that has absolutely no windows. And here's that Ackworth Time lapse again at the Frey Elementary School. Notice how the wind kicks up, skies go dark, raindrops coming on down. And do keep in mind, as rain falls, it evaporates. Evaporation is a cooling process. We know that when we step out of the shower, we step out of the pool, it feels chilly outside. It's the water evaporating on your skin. Cooler air is more dense than warm air. So as that cooled air from the rain shaft of the thunderstorm, or perhaps even tornadic activity, hits the ground, it fans out. That's where you get some of the damaging wind gusts. So again, I cannot stress enough. Lowest floor, if it's your apartment, you're already on the lowest floor. Interior room, regardless as to whether or not you're in a house or apartment. Stay away from windows and cover your head. You do that with pillows and blankets. Remember also a pair of shoes in case you have to walk through anything in terms of broken glass or debris. That tornado warning, once again, you could see parts of Cobb, Cherokee, Pickens, and Bartow County runs up until the bottom of the hour. That's going to be another 22 minutes from now. We'll put a tracker on both features that we're keeping tabs on. I'm going to grab a quick drink of water. We'll put a tracker on the storm system once again, 35 to 40 miles an hour, running off to the northeast. And Dante Renzulli, by the way, still in the CBS 46 Weather Lab. Dante, where are you right now?
Jim, we're still on 92. We've been making the trek from Ackworth to Woodstock. We're almost about to get on to 575, and I can tell you that this rain has been sporadically heavy at times. I'm surprised that photographer Gino Collins has been able to see anything. At the moment, you're not seeing a ton coming down, but it's really been all over the place, back and forth. I've been listening to the emergency scanner here in Cherokee County, and I can tell you that despite these storm systems moving through, nobody has called 911 to report any major weather damage just yet. As you were mentioning, we're not out of the woods. The storm is still rolling on through, but at the moment, no major damage to report. You can see that right now the clouds are looking pretty menacing. Even worse to the left of the vehicle. This is from the roof cam of the CBS 46 Weather Lab. You can see the gray skies are solid. There's no way to make out the individual clouds at all. It's just a solid painting there. So the worst weather, it appears, is slightly northwest of us still. We're about to see what the conditions are like on 575. Looks like we're about to get onto that exit right now. Still pretty fast moving in this part of town. It doesn't look like the weather is really slowing people down at the moment, but we're not quite in the full swing of rush hour for this part of the region. We're going to stay on the roads out here and continue to give you a look at what things are like in real time in these conditions.
Yeah.
Back to you, Jim.
Dante Renzulli right along 92 right there. And as Dante was speaking, just within the last 30 seconds, a brand new tornado warning out for portions of Meriwether County. So we'll head down that way here. And there's 185 right there. So this is going to be north of Columbus, the Warren Cell. What is that, Harris County? Yeah, that's in Harris County, a little bit outside of our viewing area, more for Columbus. But there is Meriwether County right there. So the Warren Cell, not quite to a Meriwether, but it runs up until 40-45. So that includes Greenville and points southbound to Pine Mountain and Manchester, Woodbury area. So we're going to keep tabs on this storm system coming on in through Meriwether County. Not to take anything away from what's happening over the northern flank of West Point Lake, also down to the southwest of LaGrange. These are some big thunderstorms as well that certainly have the potential to produce anything in terms of damaging winds, let alone tornadic activity. It's a setup. And all you have to do is remember the last couple of days, so much rain. The ground is saturated. So anything in terms of 35 to 45 miles an hour for the wind certainly could fell a tree. So it doesn't necessarily have to be tornadic, but that's certainly something that we're going to keep tabs on. Down the road toward Meriwether County, even though that warning's in play until 4:45, that Warren Cell will be crossing the border from Harris County in through Meriwether within the next 20-25 minutes. Now, that being said, we have some two additional tornado warnings up until 4:30, which is the bottom of the hour, coming up in 19 minutes from now. This is the initial warn cell. This is the other one right here. So you got clusters of thunderstorms sandwiched in between, but we're going to put a tracker on both of those storm systems and march them off to the north-northeast at 35 miles per hour, show you where they're headed, because obviously Pickens County included in that initial tornado warning. So with the storm system just off to the north and west of Ball Ground, a tracker in through Pickens County would certainly certainly give us the timestamp that we need to know about right there. Jasper included in the warning along with Tate and Ludville. But the way, even though we're going to see some of these thunderstorms over the road from Pine Log headed up through that area of Pickens County, this is the warned cell itself. Cagle at 416, Tate and Jasper that I just mentioned at 420 and 422. So again, know where your safe location is. Now, that other warned cell, which is just getting out of Cobb County. Let's just zoom in on this one really, really tight because, you know what, even though we have a little bit in terms of wet weather just off to the east of Ackworth, that stretch of Interstate 75, this is the warned cell right here. So now it's out of, there's the border. That's Cobb County right there. So Cobb, yeah, that warning's up until the bottom of the hour, but really anything in terms of damage is going to be farther off to the north across Cherokee County right now. So that's what's going to be more interesting as we go through the next few minutes here. And again, when we take a look at our radial wind velocity, let's zoom right in just on the northern, southern border, excuse me, with Cobb County. And again, as I mentioned before, green, wind blows toward you. Red goes away. So when you look at this area crossing 75, the wind's going this way here, and it's out. But when it's going this way here, it's blowing away. Now it's blowing toward you again. So there's toward you, away from you, toward you. So there's twisting and turning right here. Now, that is Hamby Road Northwest, which is just off to the northeast of Interstate 75. This is Cobb County right here. This is Cherokee County. So it's Cherokee County. It's crossed the line. There's 92 where Dante's located in the CBS 46 Weather Lab. So off to his southwest, this is the possible tornado. It's Doppler indicated, but that is it. The tracker on it off to the northeast at 35 miles per hour. Let's see some of those towns that are popping up here as we cross 92, getting over the road toward Georgia 205. Yep, that's going to be sandwiched in between 575 and 75. That's at the Lake Allatoona corridor, just off to the east of Victoria. Well, no towns pop up when we're in our storm mode, so we'll go out to our radar, and then we'll put a tracker on that individual thunderstorm that could be spawning tornadic activity. With these type of systems, and again, we'll punch up the EF0, EF1, EF2 scale for you in terms of the wind that we're going to be looking at, but it's typically going to be when the storms are compact, because we looked at it just a little bit ago where the rain shaft was basically 30,000 feet and below. When they're compact storms like this, they're typically going to be on the order of, say, less than 90 miles an hour for the wind. That's an EF0, but obviously some damage done even with those storm systems. Victoria at 414, South Canton at 425, and Canton at 427. Victoria right there, and getting word that Bartow County taken out of that tornado warning. And that's something that, we were talking about before, where it was just the eastern sliver of Bartow County, mostly Cherokee. And given the fact that the warned cell was just off to the east of Ackworth and moving away, that it wasn't going to actually come on in through Bartow County. And personally, it should be canceled for all of Cobb County too, because the actual cell has already crossed over 75 in through southwestern Cherokee County, as we were looking at in just a little bit, that Hamby Road Northwest area. So if you're in that Hamby Road area, you hear the sound of my voice, you want to be in your safe location right now. Similar setup if you're over the road toward Tate, Jasper. Even though the worst of the wet weather has yet to move up into your corridor, we certainly have been looking at some nasty thunderstorms just off to the southwest. Not quite into Pickens County just yet. It's more on the Cherokee County side, the north central part of Cherokee County, and the southwestern corner. Two separate warned cells that could potentially be spawning tornadic activity. So you want to get down to your lowest level. Get inside to your interior room. A lot of locations, as I mentioned, that's going to be your bathroom, if not a closet. And then stay away from windows and cover your head. I'm sorry, who was that on the phone, Nikki? Paul Kaprowski from Bartow County EMA. Paul, can you tell me what you're looking at?
Well, right now it seems to be obviously clearing up. We're in the city of Cartersville right now, and our scanner traffic seems to be kind of slow, which is a good sign at this point. We're not being inundated with calls in reference to this. We know we just got out of the warning, so we're going to send out some recon people and see what's out there. So as of right now, we really don't have much to report. and I'm hoping it stays that way.
Yeah, it looked like the worst in terms of those thunderstorms that possibly could be creating any damage with the wind, more so on the Cherokee County side, very close to Cartersville, obviously, but and you know, and you've probably seen it before, Paul. One side of the street has damage, the other has little to nothing when you're talking about the small, compact tornadic cells. So I thank you so much for the call, and hopefully Godspeed and no damage in around the Cartersville area. But once again, here's that Victoria area. This is out over Cherokee County. There's the 575 corridor, Lebanon up through Holly Springs, Woodstock, just off to the southeast of that warned cell right now. But this is what we're going to be dealing with. That tornado warning in effect until 4:30, about another 13 minutes. Let's put the radial wind velocity, see if we still see anything on that warned cell. 575, and where is that? Is this where Dante's located? Between Woodstock and Holly Springs. So that's your live picture right there where Dante's located. I'll shift over so you can actually see it right here. So Dante's in between Woodstock and Holly Springs, a little bit farther to the north. He's on 575. So that's the picture that you see on the left-hand part of your screen right now. In terms of our radial wind velocity right now, so we're going to be looking at this area. And again, notice, let's first start down here along 92 where Dante was just a little bit. And again, there's the line. There's Cobb County to the south, Cherokee County to the north. Wind blowing toward you, the green shade area, red away from you. We don't see that cluster. This is a nice clean transition from green to red. No tornadic activity according to Doppler radar in this area. This is what we were looking at just before. But again, keep in mind, these storm systems are on the move. So drag that map down, and now we're going to see, right there. There's your concern, and perhaps even right there. Definitely off to the east of Victoria, off to the east. Is that Georgia 205? Yep. So this is the area that we're going to keep tabs on here, where you go from green, red to green. So it's a twisting and the turning of the wind with height. Again, there's Georgia 205. You can see how everything marches on in. Doesn't look like much right there. No debris signature on our CBS 46 radial wind velocity here, which is good news. But again, in terms of a small EF0 tornado, it certainly is possible in this area. So you don't take anything like that lightly. Even though it could end up being 80 miles an hour, boy, if you've never been in 80 miles an hour before, it'll smack you down in a heartbeat. There we go. Tracking it over toward Canton, 429, and North Canton, same time frame. That's coming up in just 10 minutes from now. So you're just off to the west of Lebanon. Holly Springs right here up along 575, and notice that this thing is just pockmarked with where the wind could be twisting and turning with height, where you see these green dots inside the whole cluster of red here. So this is a storm system that obviously has some rotation in it. There's different clusters of storms. It's one area of rain, but you have the individualized thunderstorms within that whole core of rain. Live look at Canton, Holly Springs Elementary School, part of our exclusivity with the WeatherBug Network. And again, you can see how those dark clouds moved from left to right across your TV screen. Old Glory's blowing in that same direction. Boy, so at least nothing in terms of here where we saw Old Glory going, in a spinning direction. Great news for the folks in Canton, but you still could have straight line wind damage. Doesn't always have to be tornadoes creating the damage. Cobb County canceled out of that warning. I did a citizen's cancellation on it 10 minutes ago. But now that certainly has been canceled. So we're keeping tabs on, again, two separate clusters of storms. Now this is Cherokee County up and through Pickens up until the bottom of the hour, another 10 minutes from now, 9 minutes, excuse me. Off to the east of Victoria is the one cell. It's got a parallel 575 off to the north-northeast. As will this storm system, getting ready to cross the border on in through Pickens County. But it's not the only one out there. Farther to the southwest, we're going to go back to Harris County, head on in through Meriwether County. Tornado warning in play, and this one's until 4:45, mind you. Now, here's the border. You get away from Pine Mountain off to the east, around Meriwether County. The warned cell isn't there just yet. Now, it's obliterated by our lightning. We'll take that off for you a little bit so you can see the intensity of the storm system. It's compact. Again, I'm not taking anything away from it. The amount of real estate that it encompasses is tiny. But I tell you what, you don't mess around with this stuff right here. So again, look at this, as I mentioned before, green, red, green. If it's just a transition from green to red, the winds are just blowing from left to right across your TV screen and no big deal. There could be straight line wind damage in some of those, but where it's going toward you, away from you, toward you again, that's the twisting that we see on our CBS 46 Doppler radar. And that puts in the Durand area at 432. That's coming up in 10 minutes from now if you're doing the math. Harris City, 438. And Snelson's Crossroads at 441. Once again, this warning, tornado warning, goes into play, already in play, but it goes until 4:45. The warned cell is down here. It'll be crossing on in through Meriwether County, sandwiched in between Pine Mountain and Manchester within the next 10 minutes. Ending in less than 10 minutes, our latest tornado warning. Here's Pickens County. There's the border with Cherokee County. This warned cell right here. Now let's put a radio wind velocity on that, see if it's showing us anything here. Let's zoom in a little tighter with that one. Looks more or less like a smoother transition from green to red. So at least for the time being, doesn't quite look like much in terms of rotation with that storm system that's in the sharp top area. But again, could very easily have damaging wind gusts in straight line severe thunderstorms. So that's something that we're going to have to keep tabs on. But I don't see quite the twisting and the turning of the wind with height associated with that one. But it's sandwiched in between Burris Crossroads and farther to the southwest. Where's Corey at here? All right, off to KSU in northwestern Cobb County. Corey, can you tell me what you're dealing with there?
Yeah, right now, well, it's not raining, heavily right now, but I want to kind of step away so you can kind of take a look at these clouds. These are dark clouds that just kind of came in within the past, I don't know, 15, maybe 20 minutes. And again, you guys were under this tornado warning until about 4:30. Now, it is sprinkling just a little bit, but that's kind of been the gist of what's going on throughout the entire day, kind of on and off rain. But these clouds kind of just came in out of nowhere. And so they were pretty black, pretty dark. And so we know for a fact we're going to get more clouds probably coming on in. But again, we're under this tornado warning until 4:30. So make sure that you guys at home are staying tuned with our CBS 46 weather app. Reporting live in Kennesaw, Corey McGinnis, CBS 46 News.
All right, that was Corey at KSU right there. And you can't quite see KSU, but there's Kennesaw Mountain right there. The visibility still looks A-OK. We'll show you our CBS 46 Doppler radar in that area, showing that there's really not a whole lot to see. Corey just mentioned just a couple of sprinkles and some darker clouds off on the horizon. So yeah, really not a whole lot. I mean, there's going to be clusters of thunderstorms that are going to be in play for the remainder of this evening, dwindling from southwest to northeast anytime after about 9 o'clock this evening. But at KSU, yeah, for the most part, we're looking A-OK. The darker clouds that Corey mentioned, right there. They're across the border on in through Cherokee County. And this is the one warned cell that we're still keeping tabs on there. That's going to be crossing 575. So you see a little bit more of a jog to the northeast as opposed to due north right there. So again, notice how you're going green, red, over toward green. Clearly some rotation just off to the west of Lebanon right there, along just off to the west of 575. Lake Allatoona, off in that direction. Lebanon here, Holly Springs at 427, South Canton 431, Canton and Keithsburg 433 and 437 respectively. Now the question mark as we go through the next couple of minutes, are we going to continue to see the true intensity of this storm system to maintain the warning? Now, if we do a cross-section on the storm system, we could show you the height of it. They've been fairly compact, not just the one headed from Harris County on in through Meriwether County, but also Cherokee headed on in through Pickens County. The cross-section before showed us that the core of rain was below 30,000 feet, and that continues to be the same setup here. So you're not seeing the huge tower, which would be the shaft of the thunderstorm. You ever see brighter skies on the horizon and all of a sudden it gets dark and it just looks like a curtain or a veil coming on down? That's the rain shaft of the thunderstorm. This is it right here, but it looks fairly broken, so to speak. You have the heavy intensity here, another one there, so there, another littler one over here. So it's not one massive column This is a broad cluster of thunderstorms, and again, it's just off to the west and north of Woodstock right now, that stretch of 575 in Cherokee County. What that tells me is that we could certainly have a severe thunderstorm and another warning coming out, and well, there it is right here, brand new warning. Let me get the particulars on that. And do we have the latest timing on this one, guys? Okay, until 5:15. So again, this is going to be right along that stretch of 575 that we were just mentioning for Cherokee and Pickens County, Ball Ground, Canton, Holly Springs, and Waleska. Waleska, let's remove that box right there. I think Waleska is going to be a little bit too far removed. There's a thunderstorm moving through Waleska, but very, very clearly, this warned cell is cutting across 575. Now, 575 does lean toward the right in terms of its direction. You can see that right here. And that's what this storm system is basically going to be paralleling, more toward the eastern flank of Pickens County as opposed to the western. So Waleska, yeah. Again, I'm not going to take anything away from straight line wind damage coming on in this area, because you could see it going red, green, red. That's never a good sign right there. But these storm systems are compact. They're moving along at a really good clip here at 35 miles an hour. So in any one given location, you're looking at about a 45-minute thunderstorm. The tornadic potential is in for a couple minutes, and that's it, obviously. In any one given location, that is, of course. Obviously, we've been tracking several clusters of thunderstorms for quite some time now, over the last 45 minutes. And here's the timing of this one. Jasper at 4:31, that's in 3 minutes from now. Talking Rock down toward Cartacay, 4:33 and 4:46 respectively. Ralston in at 4:51. That may be pushing it, and obviously it's outside the warned polygon, but that's just an indicator to show you if these thunderstorms could survive that long. That's where they're headed. Farther to the southwest, Waverly Hall area, this is going to be Harris.